Hey, John. Hey, John and John. Hey, guys. Steve, welcome, buddy. Esther, good to see you. Mark, I see you are present. I kind of want to warn you a little bit. Just expand your definition of warning. It doesn't have to be something bad. I want to bring you warning. I want to bring you awareness and encouragement that what is going to happen here today will deliver 100 times more value and benefit to you than you paid for in this program. So either I'm a cocky bastard, bragging, or you want to show up, or both perhaps, I don't know. Now, being the egotistical person that I am, I'm going to say right now, I see a couple faces that are different today than they were a couple weeks ago. Significantly, substantially different. Brighter, younger, more present, more joyful. The inner child coming back alive. And just in case there's any question, I take 100% credit for all of it. I want to be clear about that. It's because of me. It's my shit doing that. I might be partly joking, but I'm probably not. I see it. It's unquestionable, isn't it, April? Mm-hmm. There's some people diving into this program. There's some people taking it seriously and getting what they came for. But nothing is going to prepare you for what's going to happen today. I'll tell you that much. And those of you that have been with me for a while, Andrea, Peter Nelka, you've been with me for years now. There's a few more. Julio, been with me forever. You ain't prepared either for today. So fuck preparation. Let's be present. Melissa, I know you're doing your best. I'm not fussing at you. I'm noticing still quite a bit of movement with either your phone or tablet or whatever it is. If you guys will please come onto the sessions with your device firmly set on something so that we can minimize this shit right here during the session, benefits everybody. If you must, turn your camera off for a little while. I recommend that you breathe like you mean it. I have a significant amount of information that I'm going to share today. I may or may not pull anybody on to work with them. I may or may not. I won't have to today. For everybody here to have a bigger, deeper, wider, further experience than you thought you were going to get from this whole program. With what I'm coming to you with today, and if I feel inspired to, I might invite somebody. So this is the end of the fidgeting and the flailing. Get your spine straight. Breathe deep enough that you can bring your body into presence. You don't have to worry about getting out of your mind. If you start to just breathe adequately and straighten your spine, it's going to happen. You're just going to come into presence. It's how you designed it. So I'm going to share some scary, fucked up, horrible, bad shit to start with. Okay? Fortunately, there's no such thing. From what I can see, 35 years of research on all sides of the equation. A lot of people like to research the side they agree with. You know what I mean? You've done it, right? Oh, it's so easy to research the side that we agree with. 35 years of pretty serious research on my part. I don't know how many thousands and thousands of pages. Lots of observation, thousands of spell breaks that I've done. And I was kind of shocked to find out later in life that my parents were actually conspiracy theorists. Technically, they were people who were aware of some of the facts of conspiracy. People with agendas trying to get more power. You dig? I think I just described every single one of us. Oh. Have you ever had an agenda to get more power? You never thought about it in those words because you were sure that you were right. I mean, okay, listen, I love you. If you didn't raise your hand, you either are stubborn, which I love and appreciate in you, or you weren't listening, or you're lying, or some mixture of the three with some other perhaps ingredients thrown in that I'm not even aware of and don't care about. When you were laying there screaming for your mom to come put her warm titty in your mouth and you felt scared and lonely and you decided you weren't safe, you started learning techniques to make sure that she never left your side again. You really disagree with me? Okay, so you began your inner conspiracy to try to have more power so you could get what you thought you needed. Now, if you think about the most evil, black-hearted, dark agenda, hiding in the shadows, monstrous person that you think you know, those of you that have looked, isn't that what they're doing? The people with the global agendas that are fomenting war. I've always wanted to use the word fomenting. I don't know if I used it right, but did I sound intelligent? I used the word, I don't know. Isn't that what they're doing? So then is it possible? Is it possible? All right, I'm just gonna go for the heart of this. Y'all better be breathing. Don't worry, because I'm going straight into solution. The only solution, the one solution, and the solution that works every single time, no matter what, beyond anything you've ever done. The question is, will you fucking do it? So a couple months ago, a month or so ago, I felt very inspired and I did a live stream about seeking to understand the most evil among us. And evil, I always put in parentheses or quotation marks. So I hope you can see or hear the quotation marks. And so for a while, I was talking about George Soros, who funds intentionally division, destabilization of countries, war, in order for economic gain for himself. And I was thinking about him, I was contemplating him, and on this session, I talked about if I was born, and I use him as an example, as well as Bill Gates. If I was born at the moment under the stars that he was born in the astrological timeline reality of this seemingly physical universe, don't think that this is not relevant to you, please. Breathe and be curious. If I was born under the star that he was born under at the time he was born, with Venus where it was and Mars where it was and Taurus up, Capricorn's unicorn butt, and everything else that was happening that I don't understand and all that shit. If I was born to the parents that he was born to at the moment he was in the geographical, historical, chronological, geological, astrological situation that he was, and I felt in the womb what he felt of his mother's fear and anger and malice and the people around her that were abusing and ridiculing and shaming and treating her poorly and all her fears and anger and sadness. And then I was born under the medical circumstances that he was born under by the people who jerked him out of her pussy and smacked him on the ass, talking unconsciously in bright lights and sticking needles in his baby body. If I went through that, and then I was raised by the psychopathic people that he was raised by, parents, family, relatives, preacher, teacher, priest, whatever the hell was going on in his country at that time, the school system, the abuses he endured in kindergarten, the kid that took his toy and he said, fuck this. You dig? If I went through everything that man ever went through, and I reached all the conclusions that he's reached. You ever think, John, Danielle, you ever think about some of the crazy fucking conclusions that you've made that you're still trying to live by? You ever think about it? Most of us can't because they're hidden from us by us. But you know they're there because you have not been fully sane any more than I have. Sorry that I'm not sorry. And then I reached all the conclusions he reached and all the beliefs that he reached and all the decisions about what he is and what the universe is and how women are and how men are and how you got to stay safe and what you need to do to get ahead and get that warm titty put back in your mouth that you had no power to get when you were 6 months old, 3 months old, 9 months old. God forbid they put a rubber one in your mouth. With genetically modified fucking soy. If I had lived his life, and then in this moment, I found myself in the circumstances he finds himself in, I would say what he said and do what he did. Not the easiest thing to nod to, but kind of impossible to shake your head at. I would do what he did. Hitler, Trump, Obama, Boris. It doesn't matter who I name. If I do the run through that I just did with you, if I was born on the stars, conceived when we went through the womb, and with the reached the conclusions, had all the frozen emotions frozen in my body that these motherfuckers have, I would be them. Now, this leads to a curious awareness for those of you, especially if we're breathing enough that this doesn't just tickle our fascination bone. That's amazing. I don't know what happened on the session, but that was fascinating. That shit he said about Soros. If you're breathing deep enough that this can get past your fascination filter, then you could realize, if you want to, not only would I do what if I was under the circumstances that he's been under, not only would I do what he did, I would be him. If I was born under the stars he was, with the genetics he has, to the parents he was, in the womb that he was raised, to that moment where he is right now, I'd be him. Wait a fucking minute. I am him. He's me born under those stars in that womb to those people without circumstances, and I'm him under these parents. Circumstance. Anyone disagree? I would love to discuss this further if someone disagrees. If you don't fucking disagree, Kurt, Annie, Jen, Victoria, if you don't disagree, then you got a couple choices here right now. You can either say, that was fascinating. Now can we get to the next part of fascination? I would like to enjoy the distraction of this program. Or you got an option to say, oh, shit. Wait a minute. That oneness thing. That oneness thing. I am him. And he is me. And I have no basis, no sane basis upon which to judge him for anything. That girlfriend who I'm sure is abandoning me and leaving me is me under her circumstances. So one of the things for me to do then, one of the things for me to do right now, if I'm willing, is to stop thinking about what they're thinking, to stop thinking about what they're doing, to stop thinking about what they're saying, to stop thinking, why did they do what they do? If I could just figure it out, I'll lay in bed from 3 o'clock in the morning till 5 o'clock in the morning, not able to sleep, but thinking, why did they do that? What does that mean when they did that? Why, it reminds me of the other time the other people did that. I don't know, wish they wouldn't do that. Maybe if I would have said, but I didn't say, but I could have said, in fact, if I could have said, if I could go back right now, I would say, blah, 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 blah. You've done that plenty, right? Me too. Has any of it ever undone what they did? Has any of it ever inspired them to suddenly be loving and kind and different? Nope. Shit don't work. So what would work? Valid question. Because from where I sit, with 35 years of research, hundreds of hours of paying attention, even in just the last couple months, researching all sides, not just the side I agree with. There's a lot of my crazy fucking brothers and sisters who were born under their stars at their moment geographically, who have been programmed by the system to lose their ability to think. They've lost their ability to hear. They've lost their ability to think and hear. And there is a very high probability in the dream of time and space, those crazy motherfuckers are going to kill us all. Anybody agree? Anybody see that possibility set as an, like, I can see that. I can see that. Okay. Now, the person who's drowning and you swim out to save them and they drown your ass, they didn't mean ill against you. They were just trying to stay alive, and you looked like something that they could push down, thereby pushing themselves up. And the day after I did the live stream where I talked about George Soros and if I had been born in, I didn't know his story. I had heard a few things. I didn't know his story. But the next day, somebody shared a link with me. Who is George Soros? 5-minute banned video where he said, I'm here to make money. I cannot, I do not, and I will not look at the social consequences of my actions. Translation, I am drowning. I don't care who I drown on my way to trying to get on top of the water. And then the next minute of the video, he tells his story that he was a Jew, a 14-year-old Jewish boy in Budapest, Hungary, when they started loading up the Jews on the trains. Are you breathing? Because if you're not breathing, you're just going to get upset. But if you're breathing deeply while I'm telling you this, you'll get upset and you will reset. What if the purpose of upset is so that we can reset? But we always fought the upset, tried to get away from the upset, and we never got the reset. Oh, shit. Somebody give me a high five on that. So he said that his dad was wealthy and wanted to save his family. So he split the family up, sent them in different directions. And he let George stay in Budapest with another wealthy relative and said that George was a Christian and his godson. So this wealthy person took George on as his Christian godson. And at 14, George immediately went to work in his new career with that merchant. And his job was pointing out Jews to be killed and taking their property. And he became a multimillionaire pointing out Jews to be killed and then taking their property. That's how he became a multimillionaire. Put things in perspective a little bit differently than what we've been thinking at all. Anybody? Okay. So what did I say? He was still desperately trying to get the warm titty in his mouth and be safe. And he would do anything and kill anybody. So his statement right after that story was, that's when my character was formed. While I was working with this man, pointing out Jews to be killed, whether they were Jews or not, so we could take their property. Now, if that don't trigger something in you, your triggers are probably needing a good cleaning, okay? So breathe through that. Breathe through that. The people doing the worst aren't doing the worst. They're desperately trying to survive, just like you've been. Has George done anything more evil or bad than you have? Maybe if instead of wanting to kill that evil bastard, we were choosing to go and hug him at age 13. I read that, Leisure. I'm not ignoring you, but you're ignoring me. Good catch. You're welcome. Is there any possibility, Leisure, that by actually being present to what I'm doing, you could find what you thought was your issue dissolving completely? So I said I might not bring anybody on at this moment. I'm bringing Leisure on without bringing Leisure on. Everyone can see the comment. So I am never correcting, ever. I don't correct. I'm always reflecting. And you created me to show up for you as a more accurate, skilled reflector than you've been so far. And sometimes with someone who has been around me for a little while, I will poke you in the ribs. Once you know that I love you and that I'm doing it from kindness to get your, I just poke you in the ribs a little bit. Love you. Boop. Right, Samantha? So, in order for someone to hear me talking about what I'm talking about today, and to be sitting in your mind preoccupied with what you were preoccupied with and asking me about while I'm talking about this, tells me to tell you to breathe deeper and begin to choose presence. And watch what happens. You can choose presence right now. All you got to do is breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. And then do that a few times and then begin to make the duration in and out about the same. But Brian, I don't have time for that. I need to figure this out. You'll never figure that shit out. Just slow down and breathe and find your presence again. But Brian, I have priorities. You have a priority bigger than becoming present? That's why you suffer. Period. Now, when you're sitting around the living room, I'll use my family. You can see 3 of my beautiful kids sitting there right now. And there's Dev. Oh, I see Michael's on. Hey, buddy. So I guess Michael and Chris are there. They just got their camera off. That's my grown daughter there. Glad you guys are on. When I talk to my family about this and I say, okay, so imagine that we're sitting here and I say, oh, let's go outside. And you say, well, Dad, I was doing this thing over here. Okay. Well, Dad, I was really wanting to da-da-da. That's fine. But if the house is if the house is on fire, I'm gonna say, get out! And I don't want to hear your shit. Okay? The fucking house. Now you might have not known the house was on fire, so what you said wasn't shit. But if you know the house is on fire, the time to fuck around has passed. Dad, do I have time to grab my goldfish? Let's see how far is the house like about to cave in, or okay, we got a couple minutes. Grab the fish, we have an exit. You follow me? You can still be present when the house is on fire. However, when the house is on fire, you better be present. But you know what's weird? When the house isn't on fire and you're not present, it doesn't take long before that bitch catches on fire somehow while you weren't looking. Next thing you know, George Soros and Bill Gates are pouring billions of dollars into setting it up where they're going to be at your door with a poisoned fucking needle and a cop. Now, this goes into what can we do? Certainly we need to gather together and get our weapons and go. No, nah. Nope. I think we should all just give up and smoke a joint and get some whiskey and have an orgy. Time is almost over. No. However, I'm going to say that the time for some form of action has arrived. And if you don't see that, you just ain't looking. I'm not saying there's nothing bad or wrong. And if this doesn't bring up some fear for you, you either ain't listening or you're just cooler than me. You need to start teaching this fucking class. I'll sit down and shut it up. But what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Have you asked the question, what can we do? Have you looked enough to see that this stuff is going on right now to ask, what can we do? Yes. Yeah. So listen, I don't normally hope much, and I don't wish for anything, because infinite, unlimited beings don't have any point really hoping or wishing. But I sure as hell hope you're listening, and I sure as hell hope you're breathing. I'm working my way around the bush, but I'm not beating around it. I'm working my way around it, and I'm going to cover the whole thing, and then we're going to go to the roots. Okay. Over the several days ago, I have people, as you might imagine, with where I sit and what I'm doing. I got people sending me everything. You think people sending you fucking links in Messenger that they're scared to share on Facebook? Oh my God. Okay. And I look at the ones that I feel, okay, yes. So when I think, how do I even have a life, with the amount of information that I'm taking in? Of course, I do watch videos on double speed quite often. And the other day, somebody sent me something about a series that someone had recently done about how the Lord of the Rings was the myth for our times. And if anybody wants me to, I'll find it and share it, because I'm going to find it actually to watch with the family here. And when I watched just the first couple of minutes, and a couple of really brilliant, amazing people were saying how they had had the revelation. Does anybody feel like you have any idea what myth actually is? Anybody at all? Anybody at all? Okay. Wow. Holy shit. Okay. I'm gonna tell you something here. And I'm talking about going all over the bush. Stay with me. One of the most liberating experiences of my life, one of the greatest revelations in my life that began to change everything for me. 20-something years ago, God, maybe 30 years ago, I stumbled onto the work of Joseph Campbell, the absolute undisputed greatest expert on mythology on 32 planets. And this led to me watching, I read much of The Hero with 1,000 Faces, which I cannot possibly recommend highly enough. I don't recommend many books in this space. I don't know if you've noticed that. This I can recommend without hesitation. He had been working with Jung and was a very deep, brilliant, spiritually conscious man himself. And then he started diving deeper into myth. And one of the discoveries he made was, listen up, before there was global travel, before there was an internet made of wires and wireless, before there were planes and trains and shit like that, seers and visionaries and artists, we would call them, people with deeper sensitivities, had dreams whereby the myth, the hero's journey, there's a threat, there's a normal everyday boy or girl living their everyday life in their everyday village with their brain dead everyday life. and something calls to this person. A path opens. A threat appears. An old desert hobo stumbles onto their path and tells them about the infinite bad. And so Star Wars, Obi-Wan Kenobi finds Luke Skywalker. Lord of the Rings, Gandalf and Bilbo, then Frodo, and on and on and on and on. And now remember what I was talking, I'm pulling a whole lot of threads, right? So people on the planet were having the dream where in the dream they saw the myth, like they downloaded the myth. And what happens in the myth is the hero says, oh, fuck no, I'm not gonna go do that. So Luke says, I gotta stay here and farm for another year. I can't go do that. So of course the stormtroopers come and kill his uncle and aunt. He has no choice but to go to Alderaan. Frodo says, I don't want that fucking ring. Too late. The wraiths are on the way to your house, to the Shire. And they go on the journey of impossibility against impossible odds. And they find strength in themselves that they never dreamed in a million years that they had. They had to face all their demons and all their weaknesses and all their fears and nearly die in the process to do the impossible for the salvation of the world. And the irony isn't that people had that dream or that the dream was, what was ironic and interesting and far out was that in every civilization on the planet at the exact same time, people had the exact same dreams. As if someone or something was transmitting the myth to us across the planet at the same time when there weren't no telegraphs being sent around. Hey, I had this dream. Let me tell you about it. Oh, okay, now it's my dream. No. They were downloading the dream at the same time. You get it? You get it? Possible glimpse of oneness there? A possible glimpse of something beyond the veil? Neo, sitting at his computer. At the door, the white rabbit. No, I think I'm going to stay home. Follow the white rabbit. Okay. So Tom just typed in oneness was there before we were and after. And I'm only going to slightly tweak that in a way that only changes everything. Oneness I am. That we that I thought I was the thing that comes and goes. I am. And when I decided to go to sleep, I set a reminder to broadcast a dream to myself. Hansel and Gretel left breadcrumbs to find their way home. So now this brings us again to what can I do? So I decided that me and the family were going to watch this 4-part series on the Lord of the Rings is the archetypal myth of our time. And I could see it playing out in front of me. Sauron, are you fucking kidding me? How'd that shit happen? Coincidence? I think not. Okay? And on and on. He's not the only one. And I saw, who's all seen the Lord of the Rings or read the books? Anybody? Some. Those of you don't feel left out, just go read them fuckers and thank me later. There's a scene that affected me hugely reading the books. Many scenes affected me so much in that. And there was a scene where Galadriel, the queen of the elves, lives forever, infinitely wise, love, joy, peace, pure. And she's communicating with Frodo. You going into some shit, buddy. Love and wisdom and beauty speaks to Frodo and gives him the light of Galadriel, a little vial of light. It says, may it be a light to you when all other lights go out. And he found himself in a couple situations where jingle, jingle, illuminate, 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 totally saved his ass. And many years later, I was reading The Science of Getting Rich and As a Man Thinketh and a few of those other works that talked about the concept of more than filling your place. More than filling your place. I thought about that. More than, like, you hear those words, more than filling your place? Like if you don't just say, okay, but he'll shut up soon or he'll get to the point. I think he's making a point eventually. No. Be present here. More than filling your place. If you look at those words, if you try it on for a minute, what would it be like to more than fill my place? Well, then I would be spilling over, wouldn't I? Now, how do I contrast it? How I've been afraid to put myself out there. Why does everybody always nod when I say that? The vast majority of people, what Thoreau or Whitman said, the mass of men lead lives of quiet desperation, right? Don't get sexist about it. Just the mass of humans are living lives of quiet desperation, miserable, shut down, and Lesia just said terrified to be out there. And Lesia just happens to be the one who said, I'm feeling really torn on continuing to try to finish this book, creating. You just said it. I was just waiting, Lesia, just so you know. That's why I didn't have to bring you on. Why try? Breathe. Why would you try to do any of those when you're not present? When all you got to do is be present and you'll be inspired with exactly what to do. And I am only talking to you. So when we're not more than filling our space, we're shrinking back. While the evil is building in the world. Just breathe for a minute, all right? Having a Gandalf moment over here. Anybody breathing? Nathan? Breathe enough to come back alive. Good to see you, Thomas. Glad you're on, buddy. Rihanna. Anjali. Is that close? Welcome. What can we do? I'm telling you that you are Neo. Make no mistake. There is no other. You are Frodo. Make no mistake. There is no other. While you're waiting for somebody to fucking step up in Frodo, the enemy is marshaling his army but only because you chose to imagine that. There's nothing outside of you, but your imagination will fucking kill you because your imagination includes death. Oh, that's right, Debbie. That's what I said. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm telling, listen, if somebody wants to kill me, fine. Just let's get it over with. But I don't necessarily want nobody encroaching tyranny and radiation onto me and my family, and then boots coming down the road with a fucking needle that's gonna dehumanize me and pull me into their matrix. That does not interest me at all. Well, it must have, or I wouldn't have brought it into being, but it doesn't interest me anymore. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. So I don't know about you, but I come down to what can we do? Which leads to what can I do? Because a whole bunch of delusional motherfuckers saying, what can we do? They always fuck shit up. You know what I mean? Let's get together because there's strength in numbers. No, it isn't. There's a bunch of conflicting fucktards fucking shit up worse. Look, watch them. They're all over the fucking news. Of course, that's me. Showing me what I do when I'm born under those stars, to those people, went through those experiences, reached those conclusions, got that education, and reached those decisions under those feelings that I'm trying to avoid feeling. Let me make you a promise. You don't have to take my word for it. Are you breathing? Because it's not going to do you any good if you're not breathing. Hey, Adian, Suki, Nathan, I know you're on. I know you're on, and I asked you to, and I told you that I wanted you on this session. But I don't just want you on the session. I want you to hear me. And I want you to breathe enough that it can get past your mind and help you. Yes, I'm waving at you. Hello. So if we're going to accept the possibility that we are Frodo, the ring has been entrusted to me. I'm either going to try to put it on and think I'm going to be badass, or I'm going to try to hide it somewhere, hoping it doesn't get found. Or I'm going to find my inner hobbit, and I'm going to more than fill my place. And what would it mean to more than fill my place? What would that mean? What would that look like? I know the opposite is me shrinking back on the couch, telling myself I'm really feeling torn on continuing to try to finish this book, which I'm not inspired, or create a course and promote it, or maybe I just go down this and that and this and that, and totally in non-presence, desperately, frantically trying to use the ring. That I know is going to kill me because I set it up that way. I keep trying to pretend that I don't know it. What could I do? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? I will tell you right now that sometimes when I look at HR 666 and I look at contact tracing and I look at, is anybody not okay with me talking about current events as part of this? Because I mean, from where I sit, what's happening is what's happening, and here I am now. I don't think that you joined this program now by accident. So what can we do? I think if we look at the opposite, it would be easy to just pretend I didn't know and I could go Netflix and chill. Nah, I have nothing against a beer or two or three. I got nothing against somebody that wants to burn a doobie. I just did some apacho. We can talk about that later. Anybody who wants to. It's actually legal, shockingly, and very beneficial for us. Anybody who really wants to, I'm going to speak in code here, but have masturbatory experiences, for them. Anybody who wants to do that, great. Anybody who really wants to go bowling to distract themselves, listen, I'm all for it, okay? But if that's your escape from what's happening, let me be the one to tell you, there is no escape from what's happening because you're the one doing it. Escape is not the answer. If Frodo had escaped, the Shire was going to get torched. Everybody would have been wired up into a matrix, laid into pods eventually. You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Finding your power. Finding your power so that you don't need the ring. Didn't Frodo end up proving that he was stronger than the ring that supposedly had all the power? Now, wait a minute. Back up for a second. What? Say what? Wait a minute. Neo said, Morpheus, you're saying that when I tap into this thing that you're talking about, when I tap into this magic behind the matrix, I'll be so fast, I'll be able to dodge bullets. And Morpheus said, no, I'm saying that when you get this, you won't have to. And Frodo was told that this one infinitely powerful being of evil made 9 rings for humans, and the humans were powerless to resist the temptation of the power. Right? The 9 humans, the kings, were powerless to resist the power of the rings. The fucking elves took rings. Now, the greedy, selfish, little monetarily motivated dwarves, that was easy to get them suckered in. But a hobbit, little furry-footed fucker, showed that he was actually more powerful than the 9 kings and their rings. He was more powerful than the dwarves and their rings. He was more powerful than the fucking elves and their rings, even though they helped him. And he was more powerful than the one who made the one ring, and he was more powerful than the ring, yes? Is there any possibility that you are? I know you think you're a dumb, fat, stupid, fucking loser piece of shit. I know you are. So did I. You might not use those words. You might choose different words. Not enough, good enough, not adequate. Too weak, too addicted, too stupid, too lazy, too scared. But is that your identity? Then why has it seemed so long to be your identity? I'm going to tell you something shocking. You ready? Because you haven't actually breathed enough. The fuck did he say? Now, come on, Brian. Surely. No. Let me say it again. You haven't breathed enough. Imagine it was time to slay a dragon. I got nothing against dragons, but just imagine it was time to slay a dragon and you were wearing your goddamn social distancing fucking mask. I'm gonna start weaving threads together here. You ready? I see an image in my house of me and Nathan and Suki and Adion and Deb. I see an image of us all holding up our light of Galadriel so bright. Those motherfuckers come down the road with needles and guns. They can't even see our house. What happened to 7765949? What? Where'd that? I'm not kidding. Either that or the light's so bright that when they actually leave the office to start coming down the streets, they can't find their way, or they forget what they were going to do. Adi, I just had a. We don't have to be scared, but let me tell you something. If you ain't breathing, you better be fucking scared. In fact, let me do you one better. If you ain't breathing, that's why you're scared. We were born, so it seems. The one energy that got born as George and Frodo and Bill Gates and Madeleine Albright and Obama and Trump, the one that got born as all these seemingly separate things is in me. I got born, or so it seems. And then I got the shit beat out of me, and I got ridiculed and scolded and punished and faulted for not doing things I didn't know how to do. The fuck was that? I've been perpetuating with that with my kids too, and I'm so fucking sorry. I perpetuate it less every minute because I choose presence. And we were born into, I love Krishnamurti's quote, it's no measure of health and sanity to be well adjusted, rather, let me say that again, is no measure of sanity and wellness to be well adjusted to a profoundly sick society. And we were born into fucking insanity. We were born into Mordor. Okay? The Empire had already been building fucking Star Destroyers and working on plans for Death Stars long before we came into this body, or so it seems. And we came in, and what did they do? The vast majority of us were born into a medical birth, medical intervention. They included brilliant things like jerking us out of the pussy with cold metal, or cutting her open, shooting her with drugs so that she would be unconscious and we would be unconscious. Then they jerk us out and slap us. Breathe. Welcome to breath. Smack. Oh, so breathing hurts. Don't do that. And then, as moments went on, every time we ever got hurt, upset, shocked, scared, you know what we did? And they showed us, I've talked about this enough times that I'll talk about it again. They showed us, whatever you do, don't express those emotions. Think about your mom. If you hear my voice, I'm talking to you. Think about your mom. Did she always cheerfully, joyfully welcome your every emotional expression? Can you breathe deep enough now to become present enough now that you don't just have my words fall off of your greasy fucking hair, but you actually hear it and you let it in? Wait a minute. Would that change anything for me? To have been born an infinite, unlimited being of love and joy and peace that was born into a seeming hell of physicality where the medical system jerked me out, smacked me, and needled me, and then took me away from my mom, laid me down in an incubating room with 30 other little babies that were all screaming for their mom, terrified. What the fuck? Are we in hell? Why do we do this? And then every time we ever got hurt mentally, physically, or emotionally, we had that gasp, another inhale that we never breathed out. But that's okay, because then when we tried to express our anger, they showed us a bigger anger and we pulled back. When we tried to show our sadness, they said, I'll give you something to cry about, you little fucking loser. And we pulled back. We damn tried to express our fear and they said, I'm going to make my kid tough. Go do it anyway. And we just, and then the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst of the worst was when we expressed our joy or our love and they rejected it. Shut that fucking racket down. Why are you trying to bother me? But actually, there was one thing worse than that. It was when we tried to express things and they ignored us and we got no feedback. And we learned. The number one lesson we learned as children, you've heard me say this before, would you please actually fucking hear me this time? The number one lesson that we learned as children, is don't breathe. Now, Brian, you're just being too, that's exaggeration. Now we know. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because some of you are really, you're waiting for the good shit. You're still waiting for the good shit. I know he's moving towards a point. No, don't wait for the good shit. Were you or were you not taught to not fucking breathe? I know you never thought about it, but that ain't what I'm asking. If you expressed your emotion, you got shut down, and the only way to turn the emotion off was to reduce your breathing. There was no other way. And every episode of anger and sadness and fear and physical pain in any combination, every episode of anger, sadness, and fear and or physical pain, every single fucking time. I could probably say it louder if it'll help. I don't know if loud helps. Every time you had and what did you breathe in? Air. And what is air? Infinite, unlimited energy that can become anything. Did you ever contemplate that maybe your body isn't made as much of the foods you eat as it's made of the air you breathe? Did you ever consider weighing the amount of air that you take in, putting it in a container, an 800 cubic foot living room of air that you breathe in and out every single day? Did you actually think you pulled it in your lungs and pushed it back out? No, you brought it in your lungs and all that stuff went in your blood and carried to your cells where it took up residence. Your fucking cells are made up of every breath you've ever taken and not expressed. Food for an infinite, unlimited being of energy doesn't give you energy, babe. Sorry, you got lied to. Most food requires energy to digest and break down and get rid of. You have never in your life received one speck of energy from one bite of food you have. I'm sorry, they lied to you, babe. They lied to you. And they did a good job. It's very convincing. So in a different way of saying it, I said this on the orientation session, and I'm going to say it again and again and again and again, and eventually somebody's going to fucking hear me. The number one skill that you have practiced more than any other skill in your life is the skill of how to not feel your goddamn emotions. And the number one skill that you had to master in order to do that is don't fucking breathe. Brian, that is so far-fetched and so far out. I think I'm in the wrong program. I think I'm going to go join that other thing where they just fascinate me and tell me shit that I enjoy hearing more. Would anyone like to, because all I'm doing is giving you the tip. Anybody want to debate me? I would love, I'm not against anybody. I wouldn't try to win. I'm just saying, anybody want to debate me? Anybody got enough information, enough research, or thinks that you can disprove what I'm saying? I know it's the most far-fetched, crazy fucking lunatic shit you've ever heard in your life. It's so far off the beaten path of anything that anybody on this planet is talking about or teaching. But does anybody disagree? Or y'all just being polite? Let him rant on, you know, he seems dangerous. I don't know if I want to get in the middle of that. Check your spine, check your breath. Everyone, I'm not going to ask you to forgive me or excuse me at all for this. I'm just going to do it any fucking way. Nathan, Adion, I see that you're listening. Are you getting the sense that there's anything in what I'm saying that could be beneficial to you? I'm grateful for that. Interesting statement Christine just put in. Funny how we don't get attached or addicted to air. It's the only thing I've never heard anyone ever addicted to. Quite the opposite. Now, there's a whole lot of stuff that I'm not going to say. However, I'm going to point to a couple of things real quick, just for like a reminder, a little quick refreshing. If you're feeling tired, breathe deeper, Lesha. We don't know what air is. We know what the artificial scientists from the laboratories of Mordor fed us while they were being funded by Sauron. The school system. The school system. It's called education. Nothing could be further from the truth. They told us what air is, what oxygen is. Milk, it does a body good. Yes, if it's raw from an organic fed cow and it's fed to its baby, you're right, does a body, cow, baby, body, lots of good. Air, the only thing left that's absolutely free. The one thing without which you would die first. You don't have a clue what it is, and you never will. And if you'd quit thinking you had a clue what it is, you might find out what it is. Every breath that I ever take reveals to me and proves to me finally and ultimately and undeniably that I am one with all that is. Because when I take that inhale and I'm taking in non-physical atoms from the farthest star and the squirrel fart in the front yard and the bark of the trees and the atoms coming off the ocean thousands of miles away, a nebula where there's a nursery giving birth to billions of baby stars right now, actually millions of years ago, and it wafted across the galaxy to me now, and I'm breathing it in. What evidence do we need that all is one beyond just taking one breath consciously for once? You think there's a clue there, perhaps? So when I'm not breathing enough, well, let's do one last thing. So imagine a town where, like an old ghost town, maybe you have an image you could bring up in your mind, an old town where there's no people, and now imagine that the air just sits forever and there's never a breeze. You're going to freak out because you're going to find it's virtually impossible to imagine that, because moving air is so our nature and the planetary nature. But just imagine the air just sitting there. Might air get stagnant like water gets stagnant if it's not running? So imagine this dead ghost town with old dead air that's been sitting there for thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of years. I don't like that. I don't want to go breathe there. I don't know. Can it rot? Does it? I don't know. Do you? I don't know. Now, how many breaths that you took in during your first year of life that you've never exhaled? Stagnant in your cells, your organs, disease, lethargy, laziness, sickness, stuckness, stiffness in your spine. I mean, what if frozen emotions are frozen air? I'm not saying it is. What if? And what if we're so full of shit? I mean, air, I mean, shit, I mean, air, I mean, shit, I mean, air, I mean, what if we're so full of shit that we need one major enema? Like, so full of shit that we need air sprayed into our ears, our nose, our mouth, our just all at one time. Just spray it out high pressure one time. What if our emotional state and our stuckness and frozenness in our life is emotional constipation? Leisure, the internet doesn't need anything. You need to become present. Nobody needs anything. No internet needs anything. Nothing needs your correction or your fixing and your repairing. You become present and it'll take care of itself. If anybody needs a summary for today's session, I just said it. You become fully present and it takes care of itself. You don't watch the hell expand as you think the internet needs a fixing or something else or someone else needs to change. If only they would shut the fuck up and breathe. So what would it mean to more than fill your space? What would you fill it with? I got a clue for you. You ready? I'm going to be very subtle, so you're going to want to pay total attention. Ready? And I begin to turn the lights back on. The light of Galadriel that was in me the whole time. The fire that can't burn without fucking oxygen, baby. They created the circumstances where we would be born into a matrix, where we would be programmed from the beginning to never breathe enough to wake up and be a threat to their system. Now, those of you that have heard me talk about the virtues of breathing for a long time, and my kids who looked at me and said, "You fucking hypocrite. I hear you telling me to breathe, but you obviously don't have your shit together, so why would I listen to you?" And the answer begins to become clear because I'm getting my shit together and I'm breathing. And you can look at me and see that I'm doing something different than the people around me are doing. And I'm getting different results than the people around me are getting. I don't know why I feel to say this. I'm saying it for somebody. Be curious. I am the opposite of, well, that's just how I am. Don't try to change me neither. That's just how I am. Anybody know a stubborn motherfucker? Anybody know anybody that's got, well, that's just how I am, and don't try to change me. Don't even, They're fun to be around. It just makes your heart feel warm and fuzzy. Then why don't you stop fucking doing it? Listen to me now. Listen to me now. Listen to me now. Because I have listening issues, and I need for people to listen to me so I can finally feel like I'm worth something. Help me out here. The way I operate in my life. If I were you, if I were someone who has paid their time and or money and or energy to be on a call with that loud, cussing, long-haired, crystal-surrounded dude in Hawaii, I would be curious. How's he doing it? You understand? I don't know about you. I don't know if you've ever thought the thought, but if I was you, and remember, I'm where I am right now. If I were you, and I found that, one of my biggest questions, what the hell is he doing? I'm going to do that. I don't even care that much about what he's saying unless what he's saying is in line with what he's doing. I'd be watching for that too. Right on, Julio. Italian translation. What's that fucker do? What's he do when we wake up to go to it? What's he doing? I'd be wanting to know, okay? I'm telling you right now, listen, at the heart of my life, at the heart of my philosophy of how I live my life, here's what it is. You show me something that's working better, more efficiently, more effectively to create the change that I want. If you got something that works better than what I think and believe that I know, I got no sacred cows. I will drop my shit where I stand and pick up what you're showing me, and I will walk with it. I am not attached to nothing. Breathe, 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 breathe. I'm repeating now. Breathe, 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 breathe like this. I know what you meant, but I know what I mean too. I am the opposite of that's just how I am. How about you? You've been clinging to what you know? You've been defending what you know? You've been holding on to what you're sure of? How's that working for you? If we are infinite, unlimited beings of light, and we are, whether you know it or not, we are infinite, unlimited beings of light, and light is air, and air is light. And every breath we take, the most obvious thing that could ever be that we never notice, infinite, unlimited, atoms going out, atoms coming in, atoms going out, atoms coming in. Can't step in the same river twice, can't be in the same body twice. Every single atom in my entire body, down to the marrow in the middle of my freaking bones, every atom in my body is replaced with new atoms. Of course, they're not new. They're infinitely old, new, non-time-based atoms, but you know what I mean. The atoms in my body, if I start right now, and you could literally make a catalog of every atom that's in my body right now, it'd be a hell of a catalog. But if you could, and then you came back and checked me 2 years from now, there's not one atom, not one, that would be in my body 2 years from now that was in my body now. The whole thing is unmade and made in roughly every 22 months. Now, the more you breathe, the way shorter that goes. The less you breathe, the longer you hold on to your disease. So if every atom in my body is replaced in less than 2 years, how could a disease stay for 2 years and a day? What? It's everything you're holding on to that you think and believe that you know, because you're not breathing deep enough for the air to get down and bring that old shit out. So you sure, baby, I'm sorry, but you ain't more than filling your space I ain't been like I could more than filling my space. And I'm committed today more than I ever was. Nothing like having the house on fire, right? I think it's time to move. And all the old structures that were frozen in that ghost town of stagnant, stuck, stubborn shit. Just how I am. I got no fucking idea how I am. I only know how I was. And actually, I'm not too sure about that. It might have just been my perception. Brian, it's hard work to breathe like that. No, it's not. You're just desperately in the habit of not putting yourself out there. You don't have to ask and then what? See, do you only ask and then what when you haven't still done it yet? I don't know what would happen if I do that. Soon as I know and understand and completely work out intellectually what will happen once I become present, then I will become present. But you can never become present while you're doing that. You're welcome. I'm with you, and you can say fuck in frustration to that, or you can give up and surrender and choose presence. And all you got to do is look at how well what you've been doing is working. If you were a race car driver and you had a brand new Formula One, unless you prefer NASCAR, I'm okay with that. You got a brand new, incredible rocket ship car, and it's the day of the big race, and you've been training for years, and your tires are pumped to perfection. The rubber is sticky from the heat because you've been spinning out for a couple of minutes. Clutch is just perfectly aligned. Everything about the car, everything is about the sunshine, the winds at your back. It's the best day ever for the fucking race. And you have meditated yourself crossing the finish line first. And your gas tank is dead fucking empty. How's that going to work for you? So would you be willing to consider the possibility or even perhaps admit today, I have been running this race, refusing to fuel my Ferrari. And while you weren't fueling yours, they've been laying down racetracks to where you don't want to go. But only because you weren't. Air is our fuel. Air and sunlight, but it's great to get out in the sun, but the fact is you could be in your house and breathing. You don't need to go anywhere or do anything to start breathing. And when you breathe enough, I'm moving towards a close here now. When you breathe enough that you begin to turn your cells back on, your cleansing systems just go to fucking work. When you begin to breathe enough, the emotions just come up and out. When you begin to breathe enough, your power has no choice but to return. When you begin to breathe enough, the mental, intellectual, nervous, and sensing systems of your incredible genius being all get reactivated, you stubborn fucker. I'm talking to myself, just so we're clear. Nobody take offense. Leslie, you just don't stop, do you, girl? You're just like, I'm just going to fuck with him now. I'm just going to. I love you way too much to answer that fucking question. I would be insulting you if I answered that question. You will never need to ask that question. Everything you're doing is to prevent yourself from actually breathing and finding out that you already have it. So now, I'm going to move towards a close with something almost like a joke, but not exactly. It's just potentially humorous, at least to me. And if you don't think so, I won't like you very much. Oh, there it is, right there. Victoria said, you make it sound simple. We sometimes like it better when things are complicated. Listen, when you forget that you made the rings and when you have eternity to kill, when you have eternity to kill, so imagine that you got a message that said, go to this house at this address and knock on the door and then hang out with those people for a little while. You just got the signal. Okay, I'm going to go to that house and I'm going to go there and I'm going to knock on the door, go in and hang out with those people. I don't know why. I don't know what this is, where it's coming from. I'm just going to follow. And so you go to their house and it looks like shit. And then you go up to the door and instead of a welcome mat, they spray painted over welcome and it said, you fucking piece of shit loser, leave now. And you go, whoa, 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 who's in this place? I don't know if I want to go in there. But I remember the guidance. It said, go there. Don't seem to have a choice. I got to go here. So you go to press the doorbell. And you notice right by the doorbell, it says, don't push that, you piece of shit, stupid fucking loser. You're like, whoa. So they have a knocker. And as you go to pull the knocker, you look, there's another sign that says, you don't get the clue, you fucking idiot. Leave now. You're not going to have fun in here. And you say, what are the odds of you having a great time inside with those people? Okay. So my stupid, crazy, loony ass example that I'm giving for your entertainment, which probably didn't work, I actually have a point, believe it or not. So I want you to imagine you with your shitty fucking attitude and your negative frown and your endless damn counterproductive irritated state full of anger and sadness and fear and overcomplicating, and the breath arrives at your door. What kind of a welcome sign is it seeing? I'm the frantic, sick, fat, stupid, diseased loser. Come in and make some shitty tissues. Tumor time. Cancer, hemorrhoids, an endless assortment of fun. But what if breath was infinitely, eternally available? And you decide to meet it with enthusiasm and gratitude. Now, here's the irony. All I got to do is say those words, and something in you goes, oh my God, that would change everything. If I was to breathe the way this guy is telling me to, and if I was to meet the breath with gratitude and enthusiasm, oh my God, I get to breathe. Wow, I get to be in a body in this illusion of time and space, breathing, fueling myself, activating myself, turning myself on, finding love and passion and enthusiasm and exploring and studying and learning and finding out things I didn't know from a state of presence. Oh my God, oh my God. Wow. Oh my God, another breath. I'm so grateful. Oh, wow. And it never runs out. Oh my God, I'm in heaven. Now what do I want to do? I'm going to go jump on the trampoline. I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to read it from here. I'm going to play from here. I'm going to interact with my brother, my sister, my uncle, my cousin. I'm going to interact from here. And then I look out and I see a video about viruses and vaccines. And I go, I'm going to meet this with presence. I'm going to hold up the light of Galadriel in front of this stuff right here. And as I get more and more present, more and more present, more and more present, wait a minute, what's this in my pocket? Oh, this old ring. Yeah, throw it in the fire. I don't need it. I'm already everything. I already have everything. I don't need that ring that I thought was power. It was deception the whole time. It was an illusion the whole time. I'm the one who showed up as Gandalf, born under that star to those parents. And Sauron, born under that star. If we were having a campaign today to see who could fountain out the most shit, Leisure, you would win. You got your head so far up your own ass. You can't see, smell, or think nothing but brown, honey. Pull it out and breathe for a minute. Breathe for a minute. I fucking love you. I got your back. I'm right here with you. Breathe and quit thinking, how can I, if I think enough, I'll be able to avoid that old breathing shit. No, stop. And I know everybody here notices she's only voicing what you've been thinking. You might not want to admit that, but that's okay. Because there's only one here. If I was born under the star Leisure was born under, to the parents she was born under, in the geographical, chronological, geological, archaeological time and space situation that she was born in, and raise her out, I'd be typing the shit she's typing. That last comment is from my daughter in South Carolina right there. You guys might want to read that. Whenever you breathe enough, whenever you breathe enough, whenever you breathe enough, you'll start tingling with breath. Every breath is an orgasm beyond our wildest fucking dreams, except for when we're sleepwalking, stagnantly constipated in every cell with what we think and believe that we know, which will endlessly spin off a series of Saurons and Sarumans. And we'd be like, where'd that come from? And if you notice, the wise, Gandalf, Galadriel, Elrond, none of their approaches were, let's go fight and kill Sauron. Never crossed their minds. Just find the strength to toss the fucking ring. And so today, while you're breathing, I'll tell you what you could do. You could pull out your journal later, watching the replay. You can pull out your journal and say, let me be honest here. What has been my ring? What were the rings that I was carrying? I had a conversation with my son, Nathan, the other day. Talked to Suki several days ago about this. I was talking to Nathan about how phones and tablets can become an addiction. When we don't have a life, when we're not realizing that we are life, We can get attached to sucking a little bit of miserable energy out of anything, and that becomes our ring. Phone addiction, screen addiction, video game addiction. All it just means you're not living your life. You're not tapped into your life at all. What have you been escaping to? That's your ring. Be honest, is what you're getting out of it, is that what you really want? Is that satisfying? I know you don't like that question because, well, who would I be without my ring? You fucking find out you're the infinite source of all rings. What if you were to breathe so deeply and turn all of your cells on so completely that you began to notice the strands that weave out from you into all that is, which you confused temporarily as a connection to all that is until you realize it was that you are all that is. Aren't you obviously every atom you ever breathed in and out? And you'll notice something. When you start to breathe adequately, you'll start to get thirstier because you're moving more moisture in and out of your body, which starts to wash the structures out of everything you thought and believed that you knew, the vast majority of which was hidden from you by you in the unconscious, much of which was glued together with emotions that you were desperately trying not to feel. For all you potheads out there, I'm going to give you an example. You fire up a joint, right? And then about 15 minutes later, you're like, fuck, I got cotton mouth. Right? Because in that plant, Nathan, why did you just nod? Because in that plant is sticky, 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 sticky resin. You can pretend to not know what I'm talking about, but yes, you do. Sticky, sticky, sticky resin. And that sticky resin gets on your teeth and the inside of your mouth and your throat. You're breathing in the oils from the plant. That resin gets all over everything. It's sticky, sticky, sticky. And you stupidly, blindly say what the pothead idiots before you taught you. That's called cotton mouth. You get it when you smoke pot. No, it's your body saying, would you please rinse that fucking sticky out? I got cotton mouth, I need some water. No, you got sticky in you saying, would you please drink some water and get that sticky out? And when you breathe enough air, that the sticky everything, all the Velcro and all the hooks and all the rotten rubbers and plastics and emotions and gunks that's in all of your cells and tissues and organs, when you breathe in enough that your cleansing systems reactivate again, they'll start to bring that stuff out. And your body says, could you please rinse me really, really well right now? Drink lots and lots and lots of the cleanest water that you can possibly get your hands on. With gratitude. Don't meet it with the frowny, you're not welcome here sign on your face. Thank you, universe that I am. And suddenly you begin to become present and you realize air, I am. Water, I am. Light, I am. George Soros, I am. Frodo, I am. Beyond good and bad and right and wrong, I am. What my mom and dad told me, I am not. What my school system told me, I am not. What science told me, I am not. But they put me to sleep and told me not to breathe so that I wouldn't wake up and realize that it was all a lie. And I'm going to sit here stubbornly and refuse to fucking breathe and continue their way. Well, then I better expect that it's just a matter of time before they come down the road with the needles to put me the rest of the way under. Brian, are you saying that there's a possibility that all we got to do is actually breathe enough that we become present and we can unmake the entire fucking matrix? Yep, that's what I'm saying. But that's so far-fetched, really. How about that shit you've been thinking? I feel pretty much done. I'm just checking in to see if there's anything else that really wants to be said. I do see some interesting smiles on a couple faces where I haven't actually seen a smile yet, I will say. Of course, I'm going to take credit for that shit too. Hey, buddy. You want to say hey to everybody?
Hello.
Hey, Frodo Jr.
What? Hi. Can I say hi?
Yeah.
I see Nathan. Hi, Nathan. Hi, Dev.
Now, those of you that aren't already thinking about it, think about it. These kids are seeing and hearing this stuff today. Not in their 30s, 40s, 50s, or 60s like the rest of us.
She's the funny one.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Liz. Yeah. And she smiles. So she smiles all the time. I want a crystal.
They're not on video, buddy. You can click the button, but they're not on video. All right, I'm gonna tell everybody bye.
Bye-bye.
Love you.
Love you. Dad.
Yep.
I'm not.
All right, see you in a minute. Question becomes, are you going to start breathing? And then the question becomes, are you going to restart breathing? Don't even ask yourself, are you going to keep breathing? Because you're going to notice you weren't, and you're going to see I fucked up again. Then you're going to go right back to hell. But if you just choose, I'm going to keep starting to breathe. Will I continue to start to breathe? I got to say, I noticed nobody here tried to dispute the crazy, I mean, imagine getting off this call and then going to someone, you're going to your best friend that you've never told about level 5, and you go to tell them what we talked about today. Frodo breathing, welcome, Max. I don't advise it. But will you do it? Will you breathe? Would you, like, if you got one of those goddamn rings, right? You have a ring, phone, tablet, vibrating vagina toy, whatever. You have something that has some type of like ding, zzz, something, right? Okay, so grab one of those and then go into the calendar or notification function. Or if you want to get fancy, download something, and please don't get caught up in the technology, just fucking do it. Download something like Insight Timer or some meditation app or something like that. And here's what I want you to do. Find a beautiful sound. Normally I have some stuff in here, some tuning forks or something. They're all out in the other room. But just some sound that you like, ding, a duck fart, if that's your thing. I don't care. Find a sound and then set it to go off every 15 minutes so that when you wake up in the morning, till the time that you go to bed, if you have a regular bedtime, and if not, just turn the fucker on and off. Every 15 minutes, that sound goes ding or bzzz, or what's a duck fart sound like? Dev. Anyway, never mind. Inside joke, you guys don't want to know, but I got to smile for a second. Sorry. Set a reminder to go off every 15 minutes. With a sound, okay? You don't want to know. With a sound every 15 minutes. And that sound is telling you to breathe. And just set yourself. Listen, when I hear that ding, it's reminding me to breathe. Now, it's not reminding me to go, oh yeah, that was my reminder to breathe. Okay. It'll go off again in 15 minutes. I'm not going to breathe in either. That actually won't help you. A reminder to breathe, well, you have to actually breathe. Okay? Now, those of you that want to go hardcore on this, like all the way into awesomeness, here's what I used to do. And the reason Andrea is extra careful nowadays to have her microphone always off it, because that shit's going off and saying the craziest shit every 15 minutes. So what I did years ago was I created a reminder on my phone, my voice, that when my phone rang, instead of a ringtone, I heard check your power, your posture, peace and presence, and then answer this call, basically. And I did it. And my reminder sound for my calendar was check your power, peace, presence, and posture, and act on this reminder now. So that I didn't go doing shit, sleepwalking like I had been, creating more hell for myself. So at the lowest level, just don't breathe and be fucking miserable forever, and I'll see you in my next program. Or put a ringer in there that just makes a nice little ding. That chime sound, that Tibetan bowl that just, it just sounds so lovely. And then every time you hear it, breathe. You want to go all the way? Make a reminder in your voice. Make a couple images, pictures that just stir your soul. And go into PowerPoint. Takes a minute to learn how to do this. Go into PowerPoint and type 2 or 3 words over it. I remember to breathe. And put one directly across from your commode. Put one right above where you get your water. Mark's going to set a duck fart as a reminder. I am with you, buddy. I'm with you. I'm not sure what that'll do to you over the long run, but hey, let me know. Report back. Set reminders where you get your food out of the fridge. Meet this food with gratitude and breath. Set reminders all around the house. Last thing today. Listen to me. When you set this universe up, you set yourself an infinite number of reminders of what a stupid, worthless, loser, piece of victim, fucking, hopeless, powerless shit you are. It's not true, but that's how you set it up. I mean, for God's sake, look at your parents. Look what they taught you. Look at the school system. Look what it taught you. Don't you think it might be helpful to set some reminders for yourself that you are actually secretly the infinite, unlimited source of all that is? Your call. I did my part. So I love you. You're perfect. You're infinite, unlimited energy. Nothing wrong with you. There never was. I know you were confused. So was I. Start to breathe and actually stick with it. You're going to start to wake up. It's unavoidable. It's undeniable. I mean, you don't have to do it, and you've proven that. So I will upload this ASAP. Comment under this. I also add it to the playlist. I recommend that you comment actually under this so we can have a conversation under the sessions. the Breath of Light 2.0 that's in the unconditional happiness group, in the units. Oh my, oh my. You do that thing a few times with actual presence, close your eyes, put on some headphones and go there. It'll really help you start to live this. So unconditional happiness Facebook group, it's in the units. You can't miss it. And I'll see you next week. Aloha, see ya.